Hi, beautiful souls. Today I want to talk about something that might be the most important thing you ever protect, your knowing. That quiet voice inside you, that gentle nudge, that feeling that doesn't shout but never leaves. Not logic. Not fear. Not what everyone else thinks you should do. Your knowing. And the truth is, the world will try to talk you out of it. Your friends might not understand it. Your family might question it. Society might label it unrealistic, impractical, or risky. But only you know what you feel when you imagine that path. Only you know how it lights you up. Only you know how it fits into the story of your soul. So today we're talking about this. Don't give up on your knowing. Don't betray your gut. Don't abandon what matters to you just because it doesn't make sense to anyone else. Because when you follow your heart, you always find your way back to joy. Let's start with what knowing really is. Your knowing is not a thought. It's not a plan. It's not even a goal. It's a feeling of alignment. It's when something feels right even if you can't explain why. It's when your body relaxes when you think about it. It's when your heart says yes before your mind catches up. Joe Dispenza talks about this as coherence, when your heart and brain come into alignment. He says your heart has its own intelligence, its own electromagnetic field, its own way of communicating truth to you. When your heart and mind agree, you feel calm, clear, and energized. That's not coincidence. That's alignment. Abraham Hicks calls this being in your vortex. When something feels exciting, expansive, relieving, that's source saying yes, this is you. Your knowing is your guidance system. It's not random. It's not imaginary. It's not naive. It's the deepest intelligence you have. But here's the hard part. The world doesn't reward listening to your knowing. The world rewards fitting in. The world rewards safety. The world rewards doing what has already been done. So if your knowing says leave that relationship, start that business, move to that place, create that thing, speak your truth, choose a different life, you may suddenly feel very alone. And this is where most people give up. Not because their knowing went away, but because the pressure to abandon it became louder. Let me tell you a story from Chicken Soup for the Soul. There was a woman who always dreamed of becoming a writer. Everyone around her told her it was unrealistic. They said get a real job, writers don't make money, you're wasting your time. So she did what they said. She got the safe job. She paid her bills. She did everything right. But every night she felt empty. She would sit at her kitchen table and stare at a blank notebook, feeling like she was betraying herself. Finally, one day, she decided to just try, writing again. She woke up early before anyone else. She wrote in secret. She sent her stories out quietly. For years nothing happened. But she kept going because it made her feel alive. Eventually one of her stories was accepted, then another, then another. Years later the same people who doubted her said, "We always knew you could do it," but the truth is, they didn't. She did. She didn't give up on her knowing. Now let's talk about the Bible, because the Bible is full of people who followed their knowing when no one else understood. Noah built an ark when there was no rain. People mocked him. They thought he was crazy. But he listened to what God told him, not what people said about him. Abraham left everything familiar because he felt called to go somewhere he had never seen. No map, no proof, just faith. David was just a shepherd boy, no armor, no status, no training for war. But he knew something inside him. He trusted his sling, he trusted his God, he trusted his heart, and that knowing defeated a giant. Mary said yes to a destiny that made no sense socially, culturally, or logically. She risked her reputation, her safety, her future, but she said, "Let it be done unto me." She trusted her knowing. Every spiritual story is a story of someone listening to something invisible over something loud. Joe Dispenza teaches that when you follow your heart, you change your future at the level of energy. He says your body is addicted to the past. Your mind is conditioned by memory. But your heart can feel the future before it happens. When you feel excitement, peace, expansion, you are feeling a future possibility calling you. Your knowing is your future self whispering back to you. Abraham Hicks says you don't have to know how, you just have to know how it feels. If it feels lighter, it's right. If it feels heavy, it's not. And the mistake people make is trying to logic their way out of their intuition. They say, "But what if it doesn't work? What will people think? What if I fail? What if I lose everything?" And what they don't ask is, what if I lose myself by not trying? Let me tell you another chicken soup story. There was a man who hated his job. Every morning he woke up sick to his stomach. But he stayed because it paid well and his family approved. One day he passed a music store and felt something in his chest. He used to love music. He used to dream of working with instruments. He ignored it for years. Finally, after a health scare, he quit. He took a job at that music store. It paid less. It made no sense on paper. But he felt alive. Years later, he owned the store. He employed others. He was healthier, happier, and more fulfilled. And he said, "I didn't find success when I made more money. I found success when I listened to myself." Your knowing doesn't always lead you to comfort. Sometimes it leads you to courage. Sometimes it asks you to leave what is familiar. Sometimes it asks you to disappoint people. Sometimes it asks you to risk being misunderstood. But it never leads you away from yourself. And the pain of being misunderstood is always less than the pain of abandoning who you are. Abraham Hicks says the reason people feel suffering is not because life is hard, it's because they are resisting their own alignment. When you want one thing and live another, that split hurts. That tension you feel, that restlessness, that heaviness, that's not life punishing you. That's your soul saying, you are not where you belong. Joy is not something you chase. Joy is what you feel when you come home to yourself. Let's talk about your friends and family. They love you, but they are not living your life. They see through their fears. They advise from their experiences. They protect you from what scared them. But their fear is not your truth. Sometimes people don't understand your knowing because they are not meant to live it. And that's okay. Jesus said a prophet is not without honor except in his own hometown. The people closest to you often struggle the most to see your destiny, not because they don't love you, but because change threatens what feels familiar. So if you feel alone in your dream, remember, being misunderstood does not mean you are wrong. It often means you are early. Joe Dispenza says when you step into the unknown, your body panics because it wants the familiar, even if the familiar is painful. So fear doesn't always mean danger. Sometimes fear means transformation. Your knowing is not the absence of fear. It's the presence of truth. Courage is listening anyway. There was a woman who felt called to leave a comfortable life to serve others. She felt pulled toward helping children overseas. Her family said, "You're crazy. You're throwing your life away. You'll regret it." But she couldn't ignore the feeling. She went. She struggled. She cried. She doubted. But she also found meaning like she had never known. Years later she said, "I didn't always feel happy, but I always felt right. That's the difference. Happiness comes and goes. Rightness stays. The Bible says where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Your heart already knows where your treasure is. It's in what excites you, what moves you, what makes you feel more you. Don't give that up. Don't trade your soul for approval. Don't silence your knowing to make others comfortable. Your life is not meant to be understood by everyone. It is meant to be lived by you. Abraham Hicks says your only job is to care about how you feel. If something makes you feel lighter, it's aligned. If something makes you feel heavy, it's not. So ask yourself, what feels like relief, what feels like expansion, what feels like truth? That is your knowing speaking. Joe Dispenza says when you follow your heart, you collapse time. You become the person you are meant to be faster. You don't wait for permission. You don't wait for proof. You move because you know, and knowing is enough. If you have something in your heart that won't leave you alone, it's not random. It's not silly. It's not selfish. It's sacred. And you don't need anyone's approval to honor it. You don't need anyone to understand it. You don't need permission to follow it. You only need courage, and courage grows every time you choose yourself. Because when you follow your heart, you will lose some people. You will disappoint some expectations. You will outgrow some versions of yourself. But you will find joy. You will find peace. You will find meaning. And most importantly, you will find yourself. So don't give up on your knowing. Don't abandon your truth. Don't betray your heart. You are guided. You are supported. You are not wrong for wanting more, different, deeper, truer. Your knowing is your compass, and if you follow it, it will always lead you home. Before you go, remember this: don't give up on your knowing. That quiet voice inside you is guiding you somewhere real and meaningful. If this message spoke to your heart, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Share this with someone who needs to trust themselves a little more today. And as always, keep listening to your heart, it knows the way.